Have you ever been called lazy? Have people ever looked at you and said, "Why don't you work harder? Why don't you push yourself more?" It hurts, doesn't it? Because deep down, you know you're not lazy. You're just thinking differently. You're looking for a better way. But the world doesn't see that. The world only sees effort. The world only values sweat and struggle. And if you're not suffering, they think you're not trying. But here's the truth they don't tell you. Working harder is not always the answer. Sometimes the hardest workers remain the most tired, the most stressed, the most stuck, while those who pause and think, those who find smarter ways, they move ahead with less pain and more peace. The silver moon illuminated the dancer, fisser. Pine trees swayed gently along the shoreline, not by working harder, but by working smarter. And what he did changed everything. This isn't just a story. This is a lesson most people learn too late. So listen carefully till the end. Because if you've ever felt misunderstood, if you've ever felt like you're not doing enough, this story is for you. You might just see yourself in it. Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by green fields, there lived a young boy named Arjun. He was different from the other children. While they ran around, playing and working in the fields, Arjun preferred to sit under the old banyan tree. People called him lazy. They whispered behind his back. His own father would sigh and shake his head. But Arjun did not seem to care. He would just sit there, watching the world go by, lost in his own thoughts. The village had 3 farms owned by 3 brothers. Every harvest season, they needed help. All the young boys would go and work. They would carry heavy sacks of grain from sunrise to sunset. Their backs would ache. Their hands would blister. But they worked hard because that was what everyone did. That was what they were taught. Work hard. Push yourself. Never stop. Arjun's father wanted him to work too. He wanted his son to be strong and respected. So one day, he took Arjun to the farm. The eldest brother, who owned the largest farm, looked at Arjun and said, "You will carry these sacks from the field to the storage room. Do not stop until the work is done." Arjun nodded. He looked at the heavy sacks. He looked at the other boys, already sweating and struggling. And then he did something strange. He sat down. The other boys laughed. The eldest brother frowned. Arjun's father felt ashamed. But Arjun just sat there, thinking. He looked at the path between the field and the storage room. He looked at the sacks. He looked at the old wooden cart sitting unused in the corner. And slowly, an idea formed in his mind. While the other boys carried 1 sack at a time on their shoulders, Arjun loaded 4 sacks onto the cart. He pulled it slowly along the path. It took him the same amount of time to move 4 sacks as it took the others to move 1. By midday, while the other boys were exhausted and their progress was slow, Arjun had moved twice as many sacks. And he was not even tired. The eldest brother watched this. At first, he thought Arjun was cheating. But then he realized something. Arjun was not cheating. He was thinking. He was using his mind instead of just his muscles. The brother said nothing. He just watched. Days passed. The other boys kept working the same way. They were proud of their hard work. They were proud of their strength. But every evening they went home exhausted. Their bodies hurt. Some of them began to feel frustrated. They worked so hard, yet Arjun, who seemed to do less, achieved more. It did not make sense to them. They felt angry. They felt it was unfair. One evening, after the work was done, the eldest brother called everyone together. He looked at the tired boys. Then he looked at Arjun, who stood calmly, without a drop of sweat on his face. The brother smiled and said, "I want to tell you all something important. Come, sit." Everyone sat down under the banyan tree. The brother began to speak. His voice was calm and kind. "I have watched all of you work this season," he said. "You have all worked hard. Your efforts are valuable. But today, I learned something from this young boy." He pointed at Arjun. The other boys looked confused. Arjun's father looked surprised. The brother continued. "Arjun taught me that effort without thought is wasted energy. You see, all of you carried sacks on your backs. You worked until your bodies gave up. You believed that hard work means suffering." But Arjun asked a different question. He asked, "How can I do this better? How can I achieve the same result with less struggle? The boys listened carefully. The brother went on. This is the difference between working hard and working smart. Hard work is important, but if you only work hard without using your mind, you will always be tired. You will always be stuck. But if you pause, if you think, if you look for a better way, you will achieve more with less pain. You will have energy left for other things in life. You will have time to rest. You will have time to grow. He looked at Arjun and said, "This boy did not carry the sacks because he was lazy. He stopped to think because he was wise, and that is a rare quality." Arjun's father felt something shift inside him. He realized he had misunderstood his son. All this time, he thought Arjun was avoiding work, but Arjun was simply thinking before acting. From that day, Arjun's life changed. People no longer called him lazy. They began to ask him for advice. When there was a problem in the village, they would come to him, and Arjun would sit quietly, think deeply, and find a simple solution. He did not rush. He did not panic. He just used his mind, and slowly the whole village began to learn from him. They began to see that working smarter was not about avoiding effort. It was about respecting your energy. It was about using your time wisely. It was about finding better ways to live. Years later, Arjun became a respected man in the village. He was not the strongest. He was not the fastest, but he was the wisest. And people valued that more than anything. The lesson here is simple. Life will always demand effort from you. But effort without direction is exhausting. Before you start working, take a moment to think. Ask yourself, is there a better way? Can I do this more efficiently? Can I use a tool, a method, or a strategy that saves my energy? This does not mean you are lazy. It means you are intelligent. It means you value your time and your peace. So today, remember this. Work smarter, not harder. Think before you act, and you will find that life becomes a little easier, a little lighter, and a lot more meaningful. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And do not forget to like and subscribe for more lessons like this. Thank you for listening.